Well, hello everybody. Good to see you. Tonight, I want to talk about why children don't listen. And children can be a handful. And that's a part of why I do what I do, because I realize that over the years there are things that I've learned that I can share with others, and it can just kind of help, because being a mom is not an easy thing to do. And so, I know sometimes you have to ask the question, why don't my children listen? You know, back in the day, and many of you are much younger than I am, so you may not remember this, but there was this commercial that would come on, and everybody would be talking, and there's all kinds of activity going on, and then all of a sudden, this man would speak, and everything stopped. And the commercial would say something like, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. And it was just like, it was probably like an insurance agency or something, or a financial group, and what they were trying to say was, what they had to say was so important that everything stopped when the leader started talking. And I know sometimes you kind of wish your kids would do that. You kind of wish you could capture their attention in a way that everything stops and they're looking right at you. However, that's usually not what happens. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about some reasons for why your children might not be listening to you the way that you would like. So, number one reason might be is because you don't understand the power of your voice. See, when you say the word mom, or when you say the word teacher, there is an authority that naturally comes with that. But sometimes we in ourselves, we don't understand the power of our own voice. We don't understand the authority that's been given to that voice. And so we actually approach our children in a way of kind of mamby-pamby, I wish you would kind of help mommy out kind of thing, instead of understanding that our voice is critical. Our voice, and teaching them to hear our voice, is major, because there's going to come a day when you're going to need that child to have gotten in the habit of listening and obeying. Some children have lost their lives because they never acquired that ability. And as a mom, I'm here to just remind you that there is a level of power that God has given you to be able to capture your child's attention and arrest them. One day they're going to be about to step off of a curb, and you're going to see something coming, and you're going to be able to call their name, and they're going to stop, because you've been practicing in the little places of life, getting them to obey. You've been practicing when you're just at home, and it's time to do something, that when you say, I need you to, they respond and they obey. And so, mom, you got to understand the power of your voice. 2, sometimes our children don't listen because we don't realize the authority that God has given us. When a policeman gets behind us and we're driving, he doesn't have to yell. He doesn't have to scream. He doesn't holler. All he does is flash the light. And when we see that light flashing right behind us, our heart starts beating, because we know either he's trying to get past us or he's trying to pull us over. And most of us, what do? We pull over. We immediately obey. We find somewhere where we can pull safely over, and we do just that. We sit in the car. We wait for him to come to us, and then we give him whatever it is that he needs. He didn't yell. He didn't holler. He didn't have to pull out his gun. But just because he has the authority, he has been given the authority. Hey there, Priscilla. He has been given the authority. He commands obedience. And so I think as moms sometimes, as teachers sometimes, we don't realize we have the authority. we use the wrong tools. See, the government gave the policeman, the police officer, the authority to pull us over when we're speeding or doing something that we shouldn't. And God has given you, Mom, the authority to expect your child to obey you when you speak to them. But if you don't realize that, and if you don't understand, it's a non-negotiable. It's not something that they have a choice about, because you might be preparing them one day for a life or death kind of situation. And if they have gotten used to negotiating with you, if they have gotten used to waiting until the third time you say it, if they have gotten used to you getting distracted and not staying focused on what it is you've asked them to do, it could be their life one day. And so getting them to listen is a critical thing, and it has much more to do with us than we realize. So let's go back to the police officer. That authority, God has given it to you, but you have to learn how to use it. I know I did. I thought the louder I talked, the meaner I got, the more I could control the situation. And over time, the only thing I did was drive the behavior underground, because then they were afraid of me. And so they did things because, oh, mommy's going to get us. And there's some level of, especially when they're young, you need some of that, because they don't always understand the danger that's around. But I had to learn that if I really wanted them to obey me from their heart, I had to help them to understand what I was asking of them. And so I took the authority that God gave me, and with the fruit of the Spirit, I began to, with grace, with love, with patience, help them to understand that I love you and I expect you to obey, because I am watching over your life, and because it is pleasing to God. And because the Bible says, and I would tell them whatever the scriptures are saying, honor your mother and father that your days may be long on the earth. Whatever that word was that lined up with what I was trying to get them to do, it helped me when I understood that God had already given me the authority, that I had the power to bring order to my children. The third thing that I had to learn for why my children didn't obey is because I didn't expect them to. Not really. I said it, but then I would say it again, and then I would say it again. And you know what they learned? They learned when mommy says it the fourth time and she raises her voice, that's when she really means it. So I actually trained them to not listen to me. So I had to roll that thing back. I had to apologize and acknowledge that I was not focused, and that I was not giving good instruction, that I didn't stay in the process with them, and we had to start all over again. And so the first thing I had to learn how to do is to make sure when I was giving instruction that I had their attention. I had to make sure that they weren't really listening to the TV or talking to their sister or brother or their friends. I had to make sure that they really were listening and focused in on what I had to say. And then I gave them the instruction. I gave them very small pieces. Not do this and then do that and then do the other. No, I just need you to do this, and mommy needs you to do it right now. And as they began to get better at that, I rewarded them. I encouraged them. I thanked them for being willing to be obedient, because I understood that it was very important that they learn that. It was very important that they learn that from me, because they were going to respond to other people the same way. Whether they're in school or Sunday school or out on the playground, they needed to learn to hear the voice of the one who had authority and to be prepared to do what that person said. So I want to encourage you tonight. It's really important for your children to learn to listen to you when you speak the first time. It is not an unreasonable request. Yes, it will take time, but if you have a heart to understand, you have the power, you have the authority, and you need to get the focus, yourself focused in so that you're not distracted, them focused in so that they really hear you, and them understanding that you expect them to obey. So what happens when they don't? There's consequences. Spanking? Not always. Sometimes it's just something that they want to do or someplace that they want to go that you have to say, you know, I really would love for you to be able to do that. Can we try this again? I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to ask you to do something, and I want you to show me that you know how to obey. And if they're not ready to do that, okay, well, I guess we're not going to be able to do A, B, or C. Or I guess maybe it's time for you to go take a nap. Something that means something to them, use it as leverage to encourage them to learn how to listen. Because one day, listening, hearing the voice of the one in authority may literally save their life. I am Anita Gibson. I am a coach, speaker, an educational strategist, and I'm an up-and-coming author of the book Starfinder, where you will find lots of strategies to help you with your child to make sure that they can win academically, that they can win in life. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Love you. Good night.